Our scripture reading for this evening comes from John's Gospel, the 4th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Now when Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard Jesus is making and baptizing more disciples than John, although it was not Jesus himself, but his disciples who baptized, he left Judea and started back to Galilee. But he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a Samaritan city called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired out by his journey, was sitting by the well. It was about noon. A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask of me a drink of me, a woman of Samaria? Jews do not share things in common with Samaritans." Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have no bucket, and the well is deep. Where do you get living water? Are you greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well, and with his sons and flocks drank from it?" Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But those who drink of the water that I will give them will never be thirsty. The water that I will give will become in them a spring of water gushing up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I may never be thirsty, or have to keep coming here to draw water." Jesus said to her, "Go, call your husband and come back." The woman answered him, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You're right in saying, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and one you have now is not your husband. What you said is true." The woman said to him, "Sir, I see that you're a prophet. Our ancestors worship on this mountain, but you say the place where people must worship is in Jerusalem." Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You worship what you do not know, but we worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming and is now here when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." The woman said to him, "I know that the Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will proclaim all things to us." Jesus said to her, "I am he, the one who is speaking to you." Just as the disciples came, they were astonished that he was speaking with a woman, but no one said, "What do you want?" or "Why are you speaking with her?" Then the woman left her water jar and went back to the city. She said to the people, "Come, see a man who told me everything I have ever done. He can't be the Messiah, can he?" Many Samaritans from that city believed in him because of the woman's testimony. "He told me everything I have ever done." So when the Samaritans came to him, they asked him to stay with them. He stayed there 2 days. Many more believed because of his word. They said to the woman, "It is no longer because of what you have said that we believe, for we have heard ourselves and we know that this is truly the Savior of the world." This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Last week we told the story of Nicodemus, who comes to Jesus under the cover of night. They have this back and forth where Nicodemus misunderstands what Jesus is calling on him to do. To be born again, to be born anew. Nicodemus also, now you can be born a second time. You don't fit. And Jesus eventually gives him this phrase about God so loving the world, he gave his only son so that whoever believes in him would perish but would have eternal life. And that God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world would be saved through him. And when we turn the page and land in chapter 4 of John's Gospel, we see what that love for the world looks like. We see how it plays out in Jesus' life. Scripture tells us that Jesus was going to go from Judea to Galilee. Go, Russ, flip over to the map there. I don't know how well you can see this map, but the problem with going from Judea to Galilee is that if you go straight through, you'll go through Samaria. This is not a good idea. If you're a Jewish person, if you're a person of the Jewish faith, going through Samaria is dangerous to you. Just as it would be dangerous for Samaritans to go to a Jewish area. There is ancient animosity, deep-seated ethnic and religious conflict. And so normally what would happen if you need to go from Judea to Galilee is you would cross the Jordan River. You basically go right, you go east, you cross the Jordan River, walk up along the other side so you are out of Samaritan territory, and then cross back over and get into the region of Galilee. But as John tells us this story, he said Jesus had to go through Samaria. It implies that there was something there for Jesus to do. Something there for Jesus to accomplish. There was a reason he had to go that way. As he goes, he stops out midday and meets a woman at the well. This is a picture from a Greek Orthodox church that's set up in the area that we believe Jacob's well to be. Now, often it's the case with these sorts of sites in the ancient Near East. Sometimes, like, we say this is where it happened, but maybe it did, maybe it didn't. This is where the ones that we're pretty sure is actually right. So what you're looking at there is very probably Jacob's well. At least the modern manifestation of it. And so when Jesus sits down by this well at about noon, there's a woman there. She's there at the wrong time of day. Bible scholars tell us that women would normally be assigned to make the trip to the well, from the house to the well and back twice a day. And that you would normally try to do it in the morning before it gets too hot, and then the evening after the heat of the day is passed. And yet she's there at noon. And you start to ask yourself, why? And I think we'll see in a minute. But there's something else that happens here, and I want to explain to you what's going on so that it lands for you the same way it probably would have landed for people who were reading John's Gospel for the first time as he was writing. I want you to imagine you're watching a movie, and in this movie, a guy is running late for work or for school, and he starts to jog, get there just a little bit faster, and he rounds the corner, and just as he rounds the corner, smacks into a woman who's carrying a big stack of papers. The papers go flying everywhere, and of course he stops and helps her gather them up. And while they're squatting down gathering the papers, their eyes lock, maybe their hands touch. He stands up, is incredibly apologetic. In theater, in movies, in storytelling, this is what's called a meet cute. This is where the guy and the girl meet. And you get that first sense that maybe there's something happening here. You see, the thing about Jacob's well is that it's a famous place where these meet cutes. For us to go to the next slide, would. Isaac and Rebecca met at Jacob's well. Jacob and Rachel met at Jacob's well. Moses and Zipporah. This is like the Hall of Fame of the ancestors of the faith. They all met their spouses, or eventual spouses, at this place. So when Jesus goes to the well at noon and a woman comes by, probably should set off an alarm bell for you. Maybe there's something that's happening here. And Jesus and the woman get is talking. They have that same kind of misunderstanding that Jesus and Nicodemus had, where Jesus is talking on a metaphorical level, and the person Jesus is talking with is talking on a very literal level. Jesus asks for a drink. She is surprised that he's even talking to her. He said that he would give her living water, flowing water, water that would be safe to drink. See, you and I just go to the tap and turn on water and have a reasonable expectation that it's safe. But for many parts of the world, and for much of human history, the way that you would trust that water was safe was that you would see it flowing. Standing water, stagnant water, that's what you had to watch out for. But water that's flowing, living, moving, that's good water. That's what Jesus is offering her. She seems all about it. She's ready to get it. He offers her water that means she'll never be thirsty again. This is incredibly good news. And then the conversation takes a hard right-hand turn. It takes a hard right-hand turn, I think, for a reason. See, Jesus is here offering this incredible good news, this amazing gift. Sometimes it's hard for us to accept a big gift like that, to accept God's grace poured out in our lives like that. I can't tell you how many times I'd be having a conversation with somebody that has happened, and I'd say something to them like, I believe that God can forgive any sin you've ever committed. I believe that there's no sin you could commit that can make God love you less. I believe that God's love is enduring and surpassing and goes beyond all human understanding. And when I finish saying that, the thing that I must always hear, Pastor, if you only knew. If you knew what I had done. If you knew my hurts. If you knew what I'd been through. If you knew what I faced. If you knew what I did when I was angry. If you knew what I did when I was drunk. If you knew what I did. If you only knew, you would say that. If only you knew, you would say that. So when Jesus says to this woman, go call your husband, he knows full well that she can't call her husband. He said 5 husbands. The man she with now is not her husband. Now, church history hasn't been very kind to this woman. They've taken this business about her having 5 husbands and assume that this means some sort of lack of moral character on her part. That she must be horribly sinful, that she must not be living a good life. But there's nothing in the text to say that. And other places in the scripture where Jesus encounters somebody who needs to be called to repentance, he calls them to repentance. He tells them that they need to change their lives. He doesn't do that for her. Which makes me think that maybe, just maybe, rather than slandering the poor nameless woman's character, we ought to have a bit of empathy here. For a woman who maybe she's buried 5 husbands. For a woman who maybe has been dismissed by 5 husbands. Or some terrible combination of those two. If you can imagine carrying around that kind of hurt, or heartache or pain, the kind of scarlet letter that would come with that. Then maybe get an idea why she comes to the well in the middle of the day instead of in the morning and the evening with the rest of the women. It's safer to do that. To bear the heat of the day, to be alone rather than hear the whispers, to catch the glances on the side of the eye, to know what's being said about you behind your back. Jesus makes her aware that he knows that about her. And still he says, I have living water for you. I have grace for you. I have good news for you. Not because I don't know who you are, but because I know who you are. And I know what you've been through. And the language that Jesus uses to talk about this free gift of grace is water. And one of the things that we know about water is that it finds the lowest points available. That it will flow down from on high and land in the parts that we'd rather hide. The places that we'd rather keep to ourselves. The things that make us steer clear of others that we don't mention, like company. Those things that we'd rather other people maybe didn't even know about us. It's those places where God's eternal gift of grace flows. That's what Jesus offers to the woman at the well. That's where he meets her. In the place of her deep hurt and pain. If you've ever received a love like that, what she does next makes all sense in the world. She leaves the bucket behind and goes back to the city. Come see a man who told me everything about me, who knows everything I've ever done. Come and see. There's something here. It was so good for me, it could be good for you too. Because when grace touches the deepest parts of your lives, it transforms you. And those things that are painful and hurtful become not stumbling blocks any longer, but platforms that you can step up and stand on and say, this is what God has done for me. Jesus turned this woman's pain into testimony, into evangelism, into a story of God's enduring love and faithfulness. Friends, you and I, we're not going to go to Jacob's well, but we don't need to. To hear Jesus say, true worshipers worship in spirit and in truth, not in any particular place, but wherever it is that God has called to them, wherever it is God has poured living water into their lives, that's where they will worship. And just as we carry around the scars that living water flows into, wherever we go, so then wherever we go can also be a place of worship. It can be a place of testimony. It can be a place of healing. So that those things that have wounded us don't become stumbling blocks forever. They become the good news. They become the blocks out of which we build a new temple. They become a table that we set together, where we eat, drink, share the good news of Jesus crucified and risen, never died. Let's pray. God, you know those parts of our lives we would rather hide. Those things that we only whisper to ourselves in quiet moments alone. It's exactly to those places where your grace rushes in and begins to change us. Lord, help us move beyond the hurts of the past and transform those pains into testimony. That we could be living water for others, as you have been for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.